Welcome into our Locked On NBA Insider Report. Matt George has having a very lucky evening. We've got a friend joining us as well. And of course, Matt, the Kings jumped way higher than we expected them, right? And I'm sure your son is happy as well this too, right? Going from 7 to 4. So are we just ecstatic overall? Like, what's the immediate thought there?
We're going to try and get through this as much as possible without these squeals of joy
It's a
going over
party.
there. It absolutely is. Look, I mean, as great as it would have been as soon as we saw Portland's card up at 7 and not the Kings, I mean, it was instantly a celebration no matter what. Now, in the end, it's the worst case of the best case scenario, getting 4 and not top 3 necessarily. But moving up in this draft period is a tremendous win. This little guy in his first draft lottery brought some good luck, so we're definitely thankful, or at least I'm thankful for that. And the Kings now have a tremendous amount of options and a tremendous asset that they can use this offseason. And I'm excited to see what they decide to do with it. They've had a bad track record in the past of capitalizing on moments like this. So maybe this will be the time. We'll see.
You mentioned they have a lot of options, right? So they could trade this pick away. Obviously, there's some good talent at the top of the draft too. But if they traded it away, who could what kind of role, either a name or just a spot on this team that you would like to see them go after if they were going to trade this pick away?
Well, the Kings have really one gaping hole and one not so gaping, but still a hole that could be filled by players on this roster currently. Basically, they have 3 established starters in De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and Harrison Barnes. Other than that 4 spot and that 2 spot, they don't know what they're doing yet. Now, I could argue that Davion Mitchell, who was their pick last year, or Dante DiVincenzo, who they acquired at the trade deadline, those are 2 guys that you could plug into the 2 spot, and you'd probably be okay. That 4 spot, it's a gaping desert. They just have no idea what they're doing at the spot. The good news is there is talent at the 4 spot or at the top of this draft that is both potentially best player available and fills that need. And even if the draft plays out like a lot of people expect and Jaden Ivey, falls to 4 or ends up at 4, even though he is a primary ball handler, there are scenarios where he makes sense playing next to De'Aaron Fox. You take him and maybe you consider trying to move Davion Mitchell and see what kind of asset you can get for him, although I'm not necessarily too keen on the idea. Regardless, the Kings, there goes his bottle. The Kings are in the business of winning right away. They have 2 years essentially to convince Domantas Sabonis to re-sign, so they need to do that by winning. And they're looking to acquire win now players. And this is a great start.
We won't take up too much more of your time. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways that this could go. We will give you the best of luck to hopefully either trade for something good or this pick ends up something good for your team. Matt, thanks for joining us. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On NBA.